Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our afternoon edition of Big Brother 22 All-Stars Live Feed Spoilers. We are now in the aftermath of the veto. I think it's probably pretty expected what is going to happen at the veto ceremony at this point.
Yes, we know what's going to happen, and that will be squadoosh. Veto will not be used.
You never know when the squadoosh is going to be showing up in the middle of these discussions.
Yes.
But we're going to talk about a few other things. There's a couple of conversations that have happened so far. It's been reasonably quiet, but one of the things I want to sort of focus on in the early going here is the possibility of another twist coming up this week, because there's a couple of pieces of evidence that this might not be it. It's possible it is, and we're not having anything else gameplay related coming, but I think it's something to store in the back of our brains here as we move into the coming days.
Yes.
Before we dive into it though, if you guys do like this video, subscribe to the channel, give us a like, support us further, hit those links to the store, our Patreon, and hit that notification bell as well.
So Julie said that there was going to be a big twist coming in that was going to shake up the game, and then we saw that Dr. Will was there.
Yeah.
So that could be the twist. Mostly we've heard about a lot of money that's been given away in this so far. But there was a conversation that happened between Danny and Nicole that makes it maybe feel like there'll be a little more of Dr. Will and maybe more twist.
This is where things get kind of interesting to me. It's that, like you said, Julie said more than a week ago that this neighbor twist would shake up the game. Is money shaking up the game? I guess David deciding to get 10K rather than going for the veto in the end, I guess that technically does fit the definition of shaking up the game.
It did shake up the game. It ended up really shocking some people because he's on the block and he gave up having a chance to get the veto for money, and that is pretty shocking. I mean, he knows his position in the game and that he's probably not going to win, so I get why he did what he did, but at the same time, it did shock some other people that were like, wow, all right.
But if we were sort of forming an argument at trial here, I think Julie's statement is Exhibit A to maybe there's still something else. Exhibit B is that conversation with Danny and Nicole, where Danny was basically like, there has to be another twist coming, right? And Nicole, she responds by basically saying, well, yeah, Dr. Will did say that he would be back, so at least for the people in the house, Dr. Will at least is going to turn up one more time. It's weird that they actually haven't talked about him all that much on the feeds, all things considered.
It is actually very weird that they haven't spoken about him very much. And I kind of wonder if it's what they have with the rule with production. As soon as you start to talk about production, you get stars or animals where all the feeds cut. So maybe they had the same warning where it's like, all right, you guys cannot talk about Dr. Will. We want to keep this for the show, so do not bring that up. It may be something like that.
I will say, if it is not something like that, which it probably is, but if it's not, I would not stop talking about Dr. Will. It's like, if Dr. Will is my neighbor, I am celebrating this. I am, shouting it from the rooftops. I'm so excited. I'm like yelling at Dr. Will, can you give me a cup of sugar or like something else?
Or $5,000.
Like, you just have a lot of fun with this. But tinfoil hat time. This is one of my most ridiculous tinfoil hat theories ever, is that these people, they don't want Dr. Will to steal any of their thunder at all, because Dr. Will is A, more famous, and 2, way better of a player than any of them are, that they just don't want to mention him because they don't want people to be talking about Dr. Will more than talking about them, because they all got egos. They're all-stars, let's be honest here.
I mean, that could be a little part of it. I think it's probably production.
Probably.
But at the same time, it could be to take away from sort of they're actually playing the game and he's part of a twist. But I think they would probably be talking about him. I think they've just been told not to.
I'm going to present now to the jury here Exhibit C in my argument that maybe there is something more that is coming. All of the powers from the basement, they're all done. They're all over. There's no active twist in the game at this very second.
Just that Dr. Will lives next door.
Like, that's it. Maybe it really is that they just brought Dr. Will in to give people money and to try to convince people to watch the show who feel like they're a little bored with the season, but
I just think the twist, and I hope that I'm wrong, but I think the twist was that maybe they thought they were offering enough money or enough prizes or enough whatever to get people to give up power so that maybe the underdogs might have a better chance, something like that.
and that may be it. Like, there may not be anything more at all, but just that conversation from Nicole and Danny alone, coupled with everything else, but mostly that conversation, it just makes me feel like something else is happening. It may be something entirely useless. I'm not saying there's a Diamond Power veto coming. It may be something as dumb as Danny's BB basement power that just gave Memphis another chance to compete. It may be nothing at all.
It may not be, but I mean, I know that something else, I feel that something else will be coming in. This is a game of twists, and they want to sort of shake things up. They do have the triple eviction coming up. That will definitely be something different for the show.
Let's get to, though, the aftermath of the veto, because if you saw our update earlier today, there were a lot of people pretty turned up about the fact that David decided to peace out on the veto and go and get that $10,000 instead, namely Cody, namely Christmas. They just couldn't stop grumbling about all of it. And, you know, David, if you're not going to win, just get that money, give it to a cause if that's what you want to do. I don't have that much of an issue with it personally, even though I guess I want some conflict, and at least I have that now.
The biggest thing that I just wonder about sort of the committee and why some people in that alliance were as upset as they are, that they weren't more actually excited that David did not win the veto and that he took the money. Because if he didn't win the veto and then Kevin went out, that means that the nominations just stay the same. That means the committee, everybody is safe. Nobody has to go up on the block. I would be thrilled if I was in the committee. I'm like, oh, David decided not to take the veto? Amazing. That's great. That means that I won't be on the block. That's one person out of the veto running. Cool. Now it just has to be Kevin. And I thought there would actually be more people that were like, awesome.
I kind of feel like as the day's going on, I'm starting to think more and more that Christmas was just mad that she didn't get to play in the veto, and she's just sort of looking at other reasons to be upset. She's cooled down a little bit. Calmer heads are prevailing. She and Tyler are sort of talking, mapping out the future of their game at the moment. They weren't going to get rid of David over Kevin. That was never a concern, but it sounds like they want to keep David for a little while now, and it's not just Tyler. Christmas is also on board with this.
Yeah, and I mean, he is someone that will probably work with them. I mean, David doesn't really have any other allies in the game right now. The fact that he took that money does tell me that he thinks he's going out and that he doesn't really feel like he has much of a chance. So that makes David a pretty good person to bring in, because really, if David doesn't win his way to the end at this point, HOH after veto after HOH, he's not winning the game.
And, you know, I don't love to give Christmas credit for many things. I think that has been apparent. But, you know, credit to Christmas for building something with David over the past couple of weeks. That's something that she can potentially use. And if David, especially if Kevin goes, which he probably is, where else does David really have to go at this point? And I think they feel like Christmas and Tyler, that for this little while coming up, they don't know about a triple or anything, but maybe they can sort of weaponize David as someone to go after the Nicoles, the Dannys, maybe the Memphises, that he can sort of be the person to do these targets, and that maybe they don't have to get the blood directly on their hands. I wouldn't have a lot of confidence in David winning an HOH if I was them, but still.
I still have faith.
David.
No, the thing that is really sort of the most interesting is that Danny and Nicole are looking to go after Tyler and Christmas, and Tyler and Christmas are looking to go after Danny and Nicole. And then we have like Cody and Enzo and Memphis that are all just sitting there being like, cool. Like nothing is happening. Nobody is targeting them. Nobody's looking at them. That we've got sort of committee members going after each other when David is going to still be there probably. And Enzo is still going to be there, who is not part of the committee, but nobody in the committee's looking at him. Crazy.
This is the funniest thing about this season, that there are people in this house legit more worried about a guy who got eliminated immediately on his season because he couldn't find something in the dark, as opposed to Enzo, who came very close to being in the final two, and Cody, who actually got jury votes against Derek, arguably one of the best Big Brother players of all time.
Yeah, it's crazy that nobody's looking at them, but it is, again, sort of a tip of the cap to them. They're both playing a very good game.
And when you look towards the triple eviction, like let's say, for example, Tyler wins one of them, and Tyler, maybe he gets rid of Danny on his, and then maybe Nicole is on the other one, and Nicole gets rid of Tyler, if David somehow miraculously makes it through all this. But you're in a situation then where you still, on the other side of that triple, have Enzo and Cody, and at that point, Enzo's just gonna be like, yo, that's it, give me the money, yo, all I gotta do, yo, is maybe win the final 3 HOH this time, Enzo, and you can actually go to the end.
I have a prediction, and I feel that if they do not get rid of Cody in this triple eviction, Cody is probably going to win the game. As much as Enzo, you're my guy, yo, you gotta win, I'd love you to win, and I think he has a chance against Cody. If he's sitting beside him, there's a chance.
Yeah.
But I think that if people do not take their shot at this triple eviction to get rid of Cody, Cody makes it to the end and Cody wins. Nobody's looking at him. It's so crazy.
And that does bring us to Kevin, the person who's actually relevant this week, but he hasn't really given us that much of a reason to talk that much about him. Well, it's like, he's awake. He realizes he's in danger. He's not doing a whole lot yet. I don't know if he will at some point today. I hope that he does.
I think, I'm okay if he just needs to take a little bit of time to figure out what his plan is instead of scrambling, because this is something that Kevin is very good at, sort of that strategizing of getting out of tough spots. And I think if he just takes some time, thinks about something really good, that he may be able to get out of this. And I mean, because I've been thinking about it too, I was like, what is it that he can even say? Because the only real ticket that he's got that he could offer to people to be like, hey, I can be the person to take out Cody. Cody is the person that I am after. Cody is going to beat every person in this house. I am not afraid to take that shot at Cody. But is it enough? Would there still be enough votes there for that? There are people that don't want to get rid of Cody. So I think Kevin is going to have a tough time. I'm really curious, though, to see what he's going to come up with.
The only other idea I could think about, and I literally just thought about this in this very second, so this may not be good, is if you're Kevin, do you go to Cody at this point and basically say, if you keep me, I will probably be a target for a lot of people in the house moving forward, and you won't have to worry about being an immediate target. But you look at Tyler, you look at Christmas, they seem to be pretty close. And if Christmas gets power, is there a chance that she could come after you? Do you try to throw Christmas under the bus here and sort of say, if you put up Christmas, because we know Danny seems to be more than fine with getting Christmas out at this moment, maybe then you could be in a situation where not that many people are going to be mad except for maybe Tyler, maybe Memphis. It's a sell. It's like a 99% it wouldn't happen, but
I think that could be a good sell to Enzo, because Cody's not voting and Enzo's got Cody's ear anyways, and Enzo doesn't want Cody to go right now. That is someone who's his final two.
Yeah.
Probably. I think it is. But, he may get to that final three and be like, I'm not going to sit against Cody at the end. But he doesn't want Cody to go right now because he is a really big target. I think that the idea of let's pin Christmas coming after Cody, that's something that Enzo will be like, no, I don't want that. He already doesn't like Christmas that much. So this is something that could work with Enzo. Enzo's got great influence.
Yeah, it is a risk, but if you can find a way to convince Cody to just use the power of veto, make the move, this is the thing. Kevin may not be good at a lot of things this season, but we know from Big Brother 11, Kevin can be very persuasive. Just, please, Kevin, I'm going to talk directly to you now. Bring back Big Brother 11, Kevin. Send Eeyore Kevin out the door for a little while. Push hard, scramble. I know you don't like Cody. Cody doesn't like you either, if that's any consolation, but you can use it. You can work with someone temporarily you don't like. It's okay.
That's why I think that Cody might not be the person that he's going to be able to turn around. But
Yeah.
if he can get Enzo, maybe there's a possibility. I'm just hoping that Kevin hasn't just given up.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't really done any campaigning today yet, and that he's really taking his time to think of a really good strategy, because there's time for that. It is only Sunday.
That is right. It is only Sunday. We will see what happens. But for now, if you are Kevin, what do you do? Let us know. Let us also know if you think there's going to be another twist coming. And if you like this video, subscribe, give us a like, support us further. Check those links to the store, our Patreon, and we'll see you here next time.